So we saw one flock of geese this morning. First one I've seen this time of year. It's usually by the hundreds of flocks of geese. So it's the opening of waterfowl hunting on the mighty Wasatch on the Great Northern Flyway right here. Typically, it sounds like D-Day out here. They used to hunt from, when I was, for years and years and years, the hunting season was very regulated, waterfowl. Back when, I mean, people loved the birds. There goes one shot. There's a couple shots. Probably those geese were just flying over. God. That's a generator they got going up there. Corn maze. Oh, God. Unregulated. Ambulances are over there about 6 times a freaking year. Keep it going, see what we can hear. But sun rising up over the mighty Wasatch. A couple, but the migratory birds, you're talking one of the biggest flyways, well, maybe the biggest flyway on the world. It's here, right there. That's the bird refuge, which is no refuge. I mean, they're still hunting. Why are they still hunting? There should be a moratorium on all waterfowl hunting, on all mule deer hunting. Now, elk herd, well, that's artificially manufactured here because the Mormon Church owns Deseret Land and Livestock up there. You know, so those are, they actually feed them. I mean, that's a whole other deal. But the mule deer here, the biggest in the world, well, of course they auctioned them off out there at Little Antelope Island and executed the world's biggest one. That ain't hunting. Canned honey, that's not honey. You walk up here, kill this one. I did the plaster work out there on that sheep camp building when they redid it. Those monsters used to walk right up to you. I mean, they would be from here to that, closer than here to that truck to me. I'm telling you, my whole life, I grew up here. You wake up in early October, and it's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world. Be replaced by this generator of this corn maze. I mean, just a symphony of geese. I mean, by the thousands, and it sounds like D-Day out there. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it'd blow your mind. I think I have videos in my library of it. There goes a shot. There's no doubt. That's Fremont Island. You see the top of Kit Carson's Cross. God, they need to change the name of that Fremont and Fremont High School. Anything with Fremont's name needs to go. Oh my! The United States military stripped him because he was such an evil killer. You know, that's... So let's see how the painting turned out. So I saw the first flock of geese this morning. Camera clicked off right after. I got it. I'll put it up. I call it Leon Black ain't my mama. Leon Black's not my mama. Kevin Blanch, the bastard son of JACKSON Pollock. JACKSON Pollock and Andy Warhol, they got together. They had a baby. The soup can flipper turned soup can tomato soup dripper, which the irony of this is this ground that I'm standing on, tomatoes. Potatoes, all tomatoes and potatoes. People, that was Ogden, Utah, right? The whole western landscape. Del Monte on Balco, on Chemo. Should we do some shadow dancing? Yeah, why not? I'm going to work on it and put some black on it. I'm thinking about embroidering it. Right here. I'll put some black on it here. I don't know. I thought about in my dead pine tree. You know, the original dripper, let's do a dissertation on dripping. The original dripper, Max Ernst, he used to take a can, a paint can, he would tie it to the ceiling, he'd put a nail hole in the bottom of it, and he'd put his canvas down and he'd swing it. I thought about doing it that way on this one. I think I will. I'll tie it to my dead tree, and then I'll swing it in. You know, Max Ernst got exiled by Peggy Guggenheim to Utah. Yeah. When I was doing that original that Spiral Jetty video by The Perfect Jetty, that thing's got to be worth millions. So you'll never find another one ever. And it's one that, it's like when what's his name in the ABA scored 70-something points. It'll never happen again because the ABA doesn't exist. The Great Salt Lake's done. The Spiral Jetty at its perfect level. I'm out there shooting the footage, fresh out of the bone marrow transplant, and this guy just pulls up, and that's back when nobody went out there. That was back before they put the artificial road in. And I'm talking about Peggy Guggenheim. You can't make this story up. It's incredible in the art community. I met Smithson out there. My family built it. You know, he stayed right by my grandparents' house, Abe Hunsaker and Ella, in Brigham City, you know, and Mr. Phillips, God, I worked for him for a while. Woo-hoo, worked for that dude. Rake asphalt for him. That dude barked freaking more than my Marine father. Grant Busenbark and Mr. Whitaker. The Whitakers are Hunsakers, by the way. You know. So, anyway, great clan of people, by the way. They were, the old timers. Bob Phillips was a great guy. Loved him. All bark, no bite. He knew his shit, too. They did quality-ass work. They don't anymore. Craftsmen are gone. I ran into, what's his name, the bricklayers. You remember me, Kevin? Of course. You still at it? Yeah. My son's taking over. What about you? What happened? Cancer happened. So, he pulls up and he just starts babbling to me and telling me who he is. I'm Joseph McDougall, the ice cube in the desert. I says, oh, yeah? Nice. You know, and we started talking. So you drove all, you come, yeah, I had to come to something. I'm driving from Seattle. My wife's the curator at the Seattle Guggenheim. I'm like, no. Really? Yeah. She's, I'm Bill Gates' personal artist. Oh, no. Oh, God, no. No. And he started doing this dissertation about Bill Gates' father. I says, well, I know who his father. Whoa. Pass out the smallpox blankets, cut down the totem poles. So, he said, I was a young sculptor in the Midwest, and he says, I got a scholarship to go to Europe and study, and I did. And he says, Peggy Guggenheim used to recruit young artists, and it was all sexually motivated. And one of the recruiters came to me. And I says, I'm not sleeping with her. She's way too old. Hell no. He said, no way. He says, biggest mistake of my career, set it back 30 years. And then we talked. So, the original dripper, so Mark Twain, who Bernard DeVoto here in Ogden printed his memoirs because he had to. Because they negotiated a deal with Harper, and DeVoto was the president of Harper then. There's a little book, you can look it up, it's called 44. Mark Twain went psycho at the end of his life and just went on, he called himself the anti-imperialist for years, knew he'd been played and been had. He went crazy, went off on Carnegie, went off on Teddy, and he just ran, Bernard DeVoto. Who would dare punctuate Mark Twain's work? I had to put a comma somewhere. Yeah, that DeVoto from Ogden. 44 on Balco, on Chemo, Shadow Dance, dancing in the... Very few shots out here this morning. Usually sounds like freaking World War freaking D-Day. Literally. There's no ducks. There's no migratory birds. I did get to see a flock this morning. Exciting. The last. So it used to be so beautiful. So he's living in Chelsea on 10th Street. Right there where I used to live on 10th in Chelsea. And he, so Jack the Dripper, Jackson Pollock was living there, and he was painting in the style of Thomas Hart Benton. Thomas Hart Benton was his mentor. Thomas Hart Benton Sr., the famous senator, right there at Promontory when the trains met. My grandfather's the third one back, Abraham Hunsaker, is that the first? Or yeah, the first. My grandpa's Abe the fourth. The first UPSP office at his house, Hunsakerville, which is now Honeyville, Brigham City. Sounds like Emil on Balco. They were Mormon socialists, communists. He says, he gave the speech that day. I envision someday, this Thomas Hart Benton, a statue of Christopher Columbus on the highest Rocky Mountain peak. He's pointing right there at Mount Ogden. So, he's dripping. He's not dripping. He's a Depression era. Arnold Blanche, and his wife, Lucille Blanche. You know about those guys? Look her up. Look up Arnold Blanche. Gotta drip. Gotta drip. He snapped one day. He walks out of Thomas Hart Benton's art school he's going to in New York and leaves him. Walks across the street. There's an art school there. A Roscoe, the dripper. That's who taught Jackson Pollock how to drip. I always go back to Warhol, the critic. He got nowhere with the critics. What's this whole soup can trip? Which he stole that from ELSA Plotz. It's unarguable. Everybody takes credit for the soup can, you know, including the curators, including the museum curators, including the critics, including everybody takes credit for the soup can. He did that BBC interview and he says, my mother used to cut up soup cans and make wind chimes on it. He lied the whole time. Everything that came out of Warhol's mouth was a lie. He just mocked every culture. He made fun of it. The only thing I think he ever said true, why are you doing all these movies, these videos? It's a lot easier than painting. I think that's the only true statement he ever said. He mocked it all. So he looked at the soup cans again for the umpteenth time, this curator. You know, Andy kept calling him. There we go, some shots. He says, how come you got drips on the soup cans? You got a drip. The New York Times critic says, I don't like it. And he says, well, you know, I really don't like it either. He left and he says, same old Warhol. You know, and he's a commercial artist, you know, trying to be, you know. And he walked out and he says, it hit me. He says, what's behind the shadows? Oh, the imperialists. They hid for a long. There's a Moscow wedding going on. He says, he thought to himself, well, I guess it's really not the dripping, or I mean the painting of the soup can, it's the idea to paint the soup can. So he printed that. It's not the painting of the soup can, it's the idea to paint the soup can. He slammed it. That's what sent Warhol to the moon. ELSA Plotz used to walk around Manhattan, Dada, Zurich, Berlin. You know, she was killed in Switzerland. The Hunsaker line goes right to Switzerland, by the way. There's a bird, woodpecker. There's a woodpecker. Oh my God, look, there is a woodpecker. It's a downy. Look at this. Nice. They're dying because the plasters use the fake stucco and they peck through it and the styrofoam gets in them and kills them. What is it that? The Lord God bird? Extinct Kevin Blanch, the Lord God bird, a real environmentalist, a real artist activist. They're not extinct. I heard there's a video of one in Arkansas. I heard there's a video of one out by the marsh in Utah. That's what sent Warhol. ELSA Plotz used to walk around with a shaved head and a soup can bra made of tomato soup cans. That's where he got it. That's where he got it. It's unarguable. The soup can is the metaphor for overconsumption, has been for well over 100 years. Dada on Balco and chemo. Pollock. I mean, all the great quotes. How can I continue to paint in the old Depressionary freaking Thomas Hart Benton way in the post-bomb? I can't. He snapped. He went crazy. You know, and then his psychiatrist got him calmed down, and he was killed in an automobile accident right before he was. He had him calmed down, had him off the booze. And then, of course, I talked to her. I interviewed her. I talked to her before the last living person in the car, before she passed. I was in Manhattan with Robert Smithson's wife when they toted the island around the island. I'm there. You know, he drew that little sketch. And by the way, he hated museums. They put that road out there. He would have been so against it. The best quote of Pollock, and I've always known this, and I think it's the most important, reminds me of Michelangelo. Michelangelo says art is nothing but a form of communication. Used the genre at the time. You know, he was not the great painter. He was the greatest sculptor who ever lived. Why he's such a great sculptor? Because my wet nurse came from a family of masons. I split my own rock. George ain't gonna let me tend those rabbits. Where'd you sleep last night? Don't you fucking lie to me. I slept in the dead pines with the sun from Fukushima, Japan. It always shines. JACKSON Pollock. Really, does it really matter how you apply the paint? How you get it onto whatever the canvas is? I mean, the means to the paint doesn't really matter. As long as you're making your statement. That's what artists have forgot. They don't make a statement anymore. Oh, Kevin Blanch does. You think Kevin Blanch's art makes a statement? So the MoMA, think about it. I protested the MoMA just like Pollock did. They wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him in. Let's kick the can. Very few shots. I'm telling you, I've been here my whole life. Right here. You literally feel tens of thousands of boom, 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 boom. How many we heard this morning? Maybe 20? 30? I'm telling you, there's no migratory birds. Did you sleep last night? The art of communication, it really doesn't matter because they're filtering us now. They're filtering Kevin Blanch. Who's that guy? There's goes some. Who's that guy? He never invented it. It's a migration of the communications. I mean, that's all art is. That's all and everybody's forgot this. There's pretty good stuff out there, but it has no statement. If you're not making a statement against imperialism, against the freaking crashing the environment, against Fukushima, you're no artist. You know, as we protest, hey, why are they not presenting the artists of the time that they should be putting in the modern museum of art? I mean, you used to Google, you'd get me protesting there. Thousands and thousands and thousands. They filtered me. Now we know. Epstein freaking Island was the New York City moment. Leon Black. Start Googling around Leon Black, the Epstein, who actually is accused of multiple rapes inside the Epstein mansion now by different female. How about Dubin? Not Jeffrey Toobin, the 9. Jeffrey Glenn Dubin. Jeffrey's coming over to read the girls at bedtime stories. Oh my God. He's accused of it. That's the gatekeepers at the moment. Think about that. Grant Wood on Balco. I love Grant Wood. He got cancer at 51 years old. AML leukemia. So did I. It'll be 10 years. I got less than 2 weeks. What a fight. What a fight. Is that a tomato soup can? In your pocket, it's about the soup. So has there ever been 2 teams win over 100 games in baseball? I think it's done. That's great. Has there ever been two teams in baseball win over 100 games? God, Dodgers, Giants. Let's go Willie Mays. Let's go Kirk Gibson, 1988. I don't believe what I just saw. Eckersley will throw that low and outside pitch when he gets ahead in the count, 2-1. He'll throw that low and outside. I just stuck the bat out. What I just fucking lived. You see my gypsy. Visual genre. Use what the genre of the day. Oh, I did. I had them whipped. The Art of Communications. Can of corn. What's the odds? What's the odds? I buy that to do that. Just pounded the shit out of it. Hit it so perfect. It all worked out. See if we can knock the Imperialists over with the can of corn. That one's off the wall. There's a couple shots. You see my gypsy. Cold coffee. Leon Black ain't my mama. Glenn Dubin ain't my mama. Jackson Pollock and Andy Warhol, Kevin Blanch, their bastard son. I remember what's his name used to call Warhol nothing but Marcel Duchamp's bastard son. Marcel Duchamp, nude, descending down staircase. Dead purple nude found in elevator. Elsa Plotz used to walk around New York City with her soup can bra. Remember I used my soup can bra? Look it up. I made one and I used to wear it and dump tomato soup on my head. And carry a sign that says, this is clear back in the same old theme, 1916, 17. The Russian monarchs have had a wedding. Yay, imperialism's back, Tsar Putin. Say my arse, my arse, my arse. I always go back to that incredible interview. When we had critics, there's the problem. The art's being made. It's the museums that capture. And they're not museums anymore. What did Ackerman call them? The houses of fuck. What a perfect boy. Was he ahead of his time when he named him that, the House of Fuck? That's what he named them a long time ago. Talk about the perfect name. Disgusting. Marcel Duchamp in that New York Times, beautiful, incredible, genius critic in the 60s. Well, your ready-mades are so fantastic. You know, it's so cutting edge and amazing. Why do you care now? I sat in the park and played chess for 35 years right here. Why do you care now? What do you do, nude descending down staircase? I think that's on cardboard. I've seen it. 1911? Kevin Blanch. Well, the Fukushima disaster is the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history. Freaking, you know, and you were all over this, everything, your art form, blah, blah, blah. What do you give a fuck for now? It's too late. the art of communication at the time it happens. Michelangelo lived in a bunker in fear under a church for 40 years. He would spit on Da Vinci when he saw him. He was a beast. I had a teacher that way. Olin Walker. Mom lived right over there. Olin Walker lived right over there. Jill Smith's wife was my second grade teacher. Her auntie, my first grade teacher. They knew I was something. You know, it wasn't autism. It wasn't autism. I mean, Utah, blonde-haired, blue-eyed boys, they get diagnosed as autism every time something's wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with me. She showed me a book that I read about Michelangelo, and he said, the greatest art form, it's not the violin, it's the hock and trowel. Oh, you ever seen me go with a hock and trowel? Oh boy. Oh boy. Long live Michelangelo. There we go. A few more. Kill the last duck. Kill the last duck. Why is there not a hunting moratorium? Especially on the mule deer right now. Their numbers are so collapsed. What's the matter with you? That moose that came down because there's no water. These animals are struggling so mightily. Einstein said we're going to eventually have a core meltdown. You're going to let this genie out of the bottle. It's going to mutate and change everything forever. Well, humans adapt. What about the animals? He says, you know, humans are an animal. He says, yeah, they'll adapt in 50 generations. Leukemia is off the hook here, especially in childhood. Georgia going to let me tend them rabbits. I split my own rock. Oh, I'm a Mason. That came from the Weber Canyon. She used to say, take all you want if you split your own, Kevin. Last of the Mohicans. Who graffitied your house? Oh, what a plaster job. Oh my God. You know, my grandson even says, can you do my dad's house? He wants to plaster my dad's house. And I says, yeah, if he does it traditional, all cement, no fake shit. He says, I want it to look like the fireplace. Can you make it look like that? Yeah. Yeah. We'll do it. That base is made out of the redwood off the railroad. I lined it up with the sun at sunset. The real artists. The real artists. It's one of my favorite pieces I made right over there. That's my frame. D BLANCH. Unframed. How come your work's not in the moment? I just told you. Damn, black ain't my moment. Oh my God, what am I? I did that in 1988. I don't believe what I just saw. Make another painting out of that one today. Keep it going. Oh, there's my credentials. Blanche plastering all those years. The tree in the museum. I mean, all my licenses all those years. Last letter of recognition Clyde Cooley ever wrote. All my credentials from the university. Love that painting. That's Arnica. Oh, Speak my love for birds. I was very young when I did those ones. There are hundreds of them, but Kevin Blanche. The bastard son. Jackson Pollock. Andy Warhol. Grant Wood. Grant Wood. Grant Wood. Where'd you sleep last night? Where'd you sleep last night? Did you lie to me? Where from? I slept in the dead fucking pines where the sun's from Fukushima, Japan. Oh, they always shine. That came from Lake Barrett's yard. Remember my giant sunflowers used to grow right there? What happened? Fukushima. Same thing happened to these trees. All post Fukushima. Scorched earth. Scorched earth. Scorched earth. Very few gunshots out here this morning. My old beater stuck in 1999. Kevin Blanche, the marine biologist in the high desert of Utah. God, what a body of work. Incredible. My totem pole blew over when I was in the bone marrow transplant. I made me a totem pole in honor to all the workers out here. The irony of it right here, the cap on it, is this still there? Yeah, I put that on in honor of the Japanese farmers that were out here. Yeehaw. Ain't that America? Something to see. That came from the old tomato farmer farm. We got enough time to put the can one more time. You see my... I like how I've sculptured my landscape here. Turned out cool, didn't it? My soldiers. Ooh, cool. What's that shadows? My monarch on top of the multi-generation potato digger. My father's name was Digger. Nuked to death from the battle test site. I still haven't seen the obituary from my uncle yet. It's disturbing me. It's getting real disturbing. Don't get me going about his kids that they never really knew him. Just want his money. Don't get me going. It's disturbing how people act anymore. Keep it going. We'll document this. Hell, you didn't let it go long enough. Hardly any shots. I can walk the two feet. Where's your crown? Where's your fucking crown? Where's your crown? Long live Michelangelo. Long live Grant Wood. Long live Jackson.